after Easter, and it's a time when really probably going to start to look towards the summer and potentially looking at goals then, fitness goals, body composition goals for the summer. Now, it might be that you might feel that the Easter weekend, the bank holiday weekend, has had a counter opposite effect of that. Now, I always talk about balance, and hopefully, that counter opposite effect has been having a great time. Friends, family, food, Easter eggs, maybe balanced out with some activity as a family, with your partner, whatever, and it might probably not have consisted of working out. I did a break for my boot camp as well. So those guys have been off, been taking it easy. I have always got the option of online workouts and video workouts that I put up, bodyweight workouts, so that even if someone's got no equipment, they can still be active if they want to do. Because that can be someone's downtime, and this can be true for me as well. That holiday time, you want to do what you enjoy. If you enjoy training, that might be something that you end up having more time for. So it's making things accessible and doing the right thing for each individual person and your individual circumstances. And but it might seem that this weekend has been full of Easter eggs, overindulgence, and how detrimental is that to your goals? Now, if you are someone that does weigh yourself, which is a tool of tracking, as I've said before, it might seem that there must have been a nice big jump up in the weight on the scales. There might not, which is great. But got to remember that will be mostly water associated with the extra food you've been having. So particularly for carbohydrate intake, if that's been higher through just good food or whatever you've been having, then really for every molecule of carbohydrates, glucose that you ingest, you're going to also have to absorb 2 or 3 more molecules of water. Something like per 1 gram of carbohydrates, it's 2.7 grams of water has to be absorbed with it. So the body could process it, digest it, store it, and utilize it physiologically for doing activity. So over the next 2 or 3 days of going back to a routine that where you're utilizing that energy, whether that's through just your everyday movement activities, neat non-exercise activity, thermogenesis, or back into training routine as well as that, then you're going to utilize those carbohydrates, and the associated water is also going to be processed and used by the body and excreted in the normal way. So one tip that I always do, and I do this myself, is actually only ever weigh myself midweek, because that's actually more realistic. You probably do, like most people, a bit more relaxed in terms of eating on the weekend, and so potentially the actual weight and water, the food that I'm taking in, is more in terms of volume, not necessarily over in calories, just a different type of food, different type of eating, different routine, and therefore the associated water with it is going to go up. So if I weighed myself on a Sunday or Monday, it would look like I'd gone up. Although if you do something fairly consistently, fairly routinely, you're probably going to get a fairly accurate representation of what's going on. But I was weighing myself on a Wednesday. Sometimes if I forget, I've got a reminder in my phone, but if I forget, I weigh myself on a Thursday. And then sometimes, like the last couple of weeks, because it has been more relaxed and it has been my break from my school job, then I just haven't weighed myself at all. And using this time now, today, tomorrow, and the next couple of days, to just get back into that routine. Routine is very helpful, and for me, working day, structured diary is actually more helpful in terms of slotting things into the right places, making good choices, just because thought process, the routine is there, things just come more naturally. So has your overindulgent Easter weekend been totally negated any work you might have done, say January, February, March? No, probably not. Although, on the very face of it, looking straight at the scales or whatever, straight away it might seem that it has. But give it a few days, back into routine, back into consistency, your low level activity, your steps, your movement, back with your training sessions, it's going to all come back into the right sort of level. Now, what does that look like in terms of routine and consistency? Now, the number one thing will be nutrition, and if your weekend has included more alcoholic drinks than normal, then hydration as well. We need to process that through digestively, and water is going to be very helpful for that process. So keep hydration up, and things will start to physiologically put themselves back into the right sort of balance, and the progression will be there as well. Also, with the nutrition, probably most kind of overindulgent food is higher in carbohydrates. I just want to bring that balance of proteins back up, protein, carbohydrates and fats into the right sort of place. Now, this is probably the most fundamental thing, keep coming back to the nutrition side, is if you can start with your meal planning, thinking about what you're going to be eating based around your protein source for each meal, then you are going to be getting a lot closer to a good ratio of protein in your total calorie intake. Now, probably one of that for most people, ballpark is roughly about 30% of their intake. It might not go quite as high as that for someone with very high energy needs in terms of percentage, because there's a point where more protein isn't necessarily that beneficial unless you're in a very strong deficit for something like competing or making weight for a competitive endeavour. Most people, majority of people, don't ever have to do that. So it's getting to that around about 30%. So somewhere for ladies between 120 and 130 grams of protein per day is probably ballpark area. Guys, you might be up to about 170, 180 grams of protein per day. So split that up, it's actually not too much. If you get 30 grams per main meal, and then another 30, 40, 50 grams from snacks and things like that, then we're going to be able to hit that target. Now, what does that look like? Now, if we kind of keep on the traditional sort of foods for each meal, then for lunches, dinners, things like lean meats, chicken, fish, something like a tuna salad, easy lunch, especially if you have to take packed lunches, something like that. Eggs are going to be helpful as well, and other dairy products such as yogurt and things like that, good for snacks. Breakfast is probably the hardest one. Potentially most of us don't have much time in the morning. We don't want to be starting to cook eggs, omelette, scrambled egg, that sort of thing. Although they can be prepared in advance. Got a great recipe for egg muffins on the website. If you look under the free recipe section, they could be prepared, they could be frozen. So for someone that enjoys baking and wants to try something a little bit different, they're great. So they're basically egg-based muffins. They're going to be a good high protein breakfast option, or for a snack. So check that out along with the other recipes on there. Something like the high protein skyr yogurt is going to be something that's going to be a really quick, easy swap into your breakfast. Having your cereal with 100 grams of that sort of yogurt, it's going to be 15, 16 grams of protein in there, alongside protein that will be associated maybe with the regular cereal that you have. Or another good swap I recommend is treating protein powder as an ingredient. Shake it up, mix it, pour it onto your cereal. It's not going to take you much more time than going in the fridge and just putting the milk on. Milk obviously has got some protein in, but we're going to increase that protein amount by a real good amount, a good amount towards that amount we're aiming for per day, by using scoop and a half of protein. It's going to be about 30 grams plus whatever else is already in there, 35, 38 grams of protein in that breakfast. That's going to make a big difference. Now, the thing about protein is that it doesn't store in the body in the same way. There's no mechanism in the body to store protein as fat, which is where our energy stores accumulate. So by increasing protein but maintaining the same calorie level, actually going to start to be able to potentially utilize fat as an energy source in the body, which is what we're looking for to create the changes that you might want to get. Now, not promising changes on the scales, we're looking at changes in body composition. So that scale hopefully will come down as well, but by changing the intake of protein, you're going to start to influence your body composition. Especially if someone's starting brand new to exercise and activity, protein is going to be helpful for repair and recovery from training. holds true even if you are further along the line. So maintaining a good amount of protein in your diet is great for your muscles, also good for all your other tissue, skin, hair, not that I've got very much, all the other cells in your body. Building blocks are the amino acids that you get from protein. So try to have a nice range of protein in your diet, and you can get it from other things as well, your grains, your pulses, different sorts of proteins can come from different sorts of food. But saying that, your complete proteins, where you've got your 9 essential amino acids, are going to be your meat, fish, and some of your dairy products. But other sources are going to come from other things that you can add into your food, such as beans, pulses, quinoa, other elements that you can have in, and getting a nice balance of all those things. The more diverse you can make your nutrition, the better it's going to be for then your micronutrients. So your macros are your main food groups: proteins, carbohydrates and fats, and your micronutrients are all your vitamins and minerals and things like that, which the more diverse the food intake we have, the more likelihood we are to start to get towards the recommended daily amounts of these things across a week. It's going to be very hard to eat absolutely everything you need to eat in terms of vitamins, minerals on one particular day. But having that diversity is going to be really, really helpful overall for health. Now, some things probably need to supplement for, and I did a whole episode about that, about the reduction in magnesium from soil, from things growing just through modern farming, and maybe supplementing with a magnesium citrate or something like that. So you can look back on that on another one of these episodes, and do. It's very, very hard to get things perfect, but we're just aiming for a good nutritional intake for health and longevity overall, and helping us move towards fitness, body composition goals. So, quick insight there into nutrition and the benefits of that protein intake. So, getting things back on track after the Easter break, just take it steady, which is another reason, talked about this a couple of weeks ago, I like a rolling schedule of workouts rather than defined set days, because if you're on a rolling schedule and today is Tuesday but feels like a Monday, but actually here in Northern Ireland is like another bank holiday day, where does the week start in terms of if it is this workout fixed on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, whatever, then that doesn't matter so much when you've got that rolling schedule and you just pick up where you finished before the long weekend. So on that, any help and support into more detail, more depth for you personally, for nutrition and training, give me a shout in the normal ways. mark@mwfitness.net for the email. Find me on social media in usual places, and you can send me a direct message there as well, or you can go over to the website mwfitness.net, inquiry box on the different pages there, and you can send me a quick message. We'll get back to you with help and support in whatever areas you would like to talk about.
Thank you for listening to the Always Moving Forward podcast. You can find more information about MW Fitness at www.mwfitness.net, and all our links to social media are there too.